Let's talk about the OnePlus 9 Hasselblad collaboration. This is a new collaboration that OnePlus has announced for their OnePlus 9 series phones, the latest phones that are due to release in only a week. Now, Hasselblad, for those of you that might not have heard of them, are a very, very famous camera brand, and they are very expensive. This is not the first collaboration we have seen with OnePlus. They did originally do a McLaren series phone, which was a bit more pricey, had some cool packaging, had next generation fast charging, which was ahead of that year's fast charging that they were offering. But Hasselblad is definitely a step up from McLaren. McLaren is a relatively small company and they've been growing quickly recently and they have a good name to them, but it's not the same extent as Hasselblad in the camera community. Hasselblad, if anyone owns a Hasselblad camera, it's like £50,000 for a camera, like $75,000. It's very expensive. So a lot of people might be slightly misled by this, thinking that the OnePlus 9 series is going to be including a Hasselblad camera, but that's not what's happening. However, OnePlus is using a super incredible Sony sensor. This is the sensor. Now, we all know from history, you don't necessarily need to have the latest camera sensor to get the best photos. Google Pixel was using a relatively old Sony sensor and was still producing some of the best photo quality that we were seeing in any smartphone. And it was all down to their AI algorithms and processing chips, which produce these beautiful, well-exposed, well-contrasted images. However, we are definitely not going to be shying away from a brand new, beautiful, purpose-built Sony sensor. So where does Hasselblad come into this? Hasselblad is coming to this on their color correction technology, their color processing technology, which is very important for a camera. For example, this camera right now I'm shooting with could share the same sensor with another camera, but the reason I shoot with this particular camera is because how it processes the colors. It gives a really realistic, warm, beautiful, accurate representation of the colors in the room. Another camera could have an incredible sensor, but the way that it takes that information and processes it could be disgusting, to put it bluntly. And this is often why we see smartphones using the same sensors, but some of them will have Google Pixel quality towards the top end of what's really available on the market from a smartphone, and some of them will have soft focused, horrible, Android looking quality. Now obviously that's no diss to Android. I own a OnePlus 7 Pro right now, but it goes without saying the OnePlus 7 Pro wide angle lens is not the best, and a lot of Android cameras are just not doing that well processing wise, software wise. They're just not quite at the Pixel or iPhone level, right? Now the Samsung Galaxy S21 seemed to put zoom at the top priority of its list, saying that it was offering amazing telephoto zoom, but OnePlus really seems to have a completely different idea of what direction they're going in with this. This Hasselblad collaboration is focused on natural color calibration, so that again sounds incredible. If we're going to be getting supposed £50,000 camera quality in our OnePlus devices, I will definitely be happy. For anyone that's not been in the ecosystem of OnePlus for that long, originally their phones were pretty decent. Software was great, hardware was great, but they always had an issue with their microphones and their cameras. OnePlus 3 had a terrible microphone issue. Snapchatting, no one could hear what you were saying. Recording, no one could hear what you were saying. It was a software issue, but it was really bad, and it took them a long time to fix it. OnePlus 5 series, I think, was a bit better. OnePlus 7 series, when it first launched, had really questionable cameras, and people were installing Google APK packages to improve it, but luckily within a couple of weeks, they were so successful with that launch that OnePlus did invest the time into R&D to release a software package that made the camera is considerably better, way better. The main shooter is great, the telephoto is relatively good, but the wide angle is a bit soft, and I definitely wouldn't recommend it for anything serious. It just does not perform that well unless you are outdoors in super bright light, and even then it's hit and miss. With the OnePlus 9 series, we are hoping that a combination of this incredible Sony sensor on the screen here and the Hasselblad collaboration is going to give us the best quality camera that we have seen in a smartphone for a long time. A lot of people were a bit annoyed with the OnePlus 8 series launch because they really bumped their prices up, and they're really pointing more towards that flagship price point now, which people found disappointing because OnePlus's slogan and tagline and brand identity was always about being a flagship killer. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a flagship killer if you're selling for the same price as a flagship, because you're the same price as your competitors. It doesn't matter if you're just as good or slightly better. Like, you're no longer competitive as such, right? So my hope with this new OnePlus launch is that they do stay true to the brand, and even though they have released their Nord series, which is slightly more affordable, I do like the idea of them not pushing, you know, above the $1,000 mark for their top flagship phone with maximum storage, best camera, all those sorts of things. A lot of us want the pro devices, but we just don't want to pay Samsung prices or iPhone prices. And I'm really hoping that OnePlus is going to give us an option this year, because if OnePlus doesn't, there are plenty of other phone brands such as Oppo and others who are going to be offering very similar technology at a much lower price. Just for comparison, the new Oppo phone already has 65-watt wired charging, which is super fast. So even if you're not necessarily getting that super fast wireless charging speed that you're getting with OnePlus, if you are put off by the new prices, competitor phones and sister company phones are going to offer a lot of the same technology that you will use without having to out $100, $200 just for chargers. OnePlus has announced this as being their greatest leap forward in mobile photography yet, and we're hoping that this is going to take them to the next level. Now, the Sony IMX789 camera sensor is really what everyone is secretly excited about. This collaboration between Hasselblad could be amazing, but most likely it's just a 3-year marketing deal to help sell phones. The sensor that they're using is absolutely incredible on paper. It's been custom designed for this phone specifically. The OnePlus 9 Pro is also said to be using the IMX677 sensor for the wide angle lens, which is great news because the previous wide angles weren't necessarily the best quality. They would focus on a Sony sensor for the main camera, but for the other ones they would kind of skimp a bit, and it was very obvious when you actually came to take the pictures. Anyway, that's it for today's update. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it. If you love the video, be sure to subscribe. I post tech video updates all the time, and I am focusing heavily on the OnePlus release. I'm going to be buying the phone, doing a brutally honest review. It's not being sent to me for free. My name is John. This is Cookie Tech. I will see you in the next video. Bye.